and I accept, look, there may be some Qadianis that haven't accepted Mirza Sahib to be a prophet. There may be some, but the majority of them do. Okay. Now, some claims made by Mirza Ghulam, aka serial killer. Okay, by the way, in his lifetime, he had an addiction to certain drugs. But, hey, I'm not one to judge. हम judge nahi karte. No, don't judge people. Oh, no, don't. Are you judging? Don't judge. We're not judging about the addiction to. He did have some addictions to certain drugs, but no judging, no judging. Right. So what did he say though? What were the claims? He said, an angel comes to him. Right. The angel. He said Jibrail has been renamed as Ail. Ail, not Jibrail. Ail. He said his new name was Ail. And he said, Ail comes to me again and again. This was in his book called Haqiqatul Wahi on page 103. 103, huh? He said, I swear by Allah, saying that these are the words of Allah which were revealed to me. This is in his book Haqiqatul Wahi. People, he said, check this out. In his book Ruhani Khazain, Spiritual Treasures, he said that, and I swear by the Lord that he has placed my name as a Nabi, as a prophet, and he has called me the promised Messiah. In his son's book, Mirza Bashiruddin, he wrote, it is very clear and evident that after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the door of prophethood is still open. Haqiqatun Nabuwa. That was the book. He writes in his Mirza Hariram Qadyani writes in his book Ruhani Khazain. Afterwards, revelation kept coming to me as the rain, clearly addressing me as a prophet. These were his words. I'm not saying that. He's saying. In another one of his books, he wrote in Haqiqatul Wahi, I am Adam, I am Noah, I am David, I am Jesus, the son of Mary, and I am Muhammad. These were the words of Ghulam Sahib. Right. So this was in his Haqiqatul Wahi, page 521. 521. Right, okay. In his book, Qashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. Qashti-e-Nuh, right, this is what he used to call his new Sharia. He used to call his new laws that he's bought, Qashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. In this he writes, blessed is that person who recognized me. Yeah, of course you're gonna... Well, obviously you're going to be... Well, you have to recognize him, obviously, with that dhoti he's wearing on his head. Sorry. Keep it academic. Okay, so these are his words, okay? I'm not making any of this up because some people might think I'm making this up. His followers send salatu was salam upon him. So for example, in the books of Al-Fazl al-Qadyani, you have the book of Darood was salam upon him, Imam, that they call him the Imam of the creation, as-salatu was salamu alayka, stuff like this, they send that upon him. Okay. In one of his, now in his early years, he did write, so in his early books, like Kitabul Bariya, he writes, anyone who claims to be a prophet after the prophet is cursed. So sometimes Qadianis will show these early things and say, look, he didn't make these claims, but that's in his early years. That is true. He did used to say, I have no claim to prophethood. That is in his book. So in his early years, he did do a lot of this. In Ainai Kamalat, he writes, I am not a prophet. I am an addressee. So somebody who God speaks to. But later on, he does, this is part of his development. So in Qashti-e-Nuh, in the Ark of Noah, he writes, page 47, the mystery is now cleared. He says, this is Christ who is awaited. And in the words of inspiration, it is I who is meant by Mary and Christ. It is about me. So, you know, when the Qadyani say Jesus is not going to come back, they weren't saying it like, you know, when I said, oh, Jesus, I don't believe Jesus is going to come, and other scholars, the great Mashayikh of Al-Azhar and Muhammad Abdu and Rashid Rida and all these great Sheikh Shaltut and Mustafa Maraghi and all these people who didn't believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ, and Abul Kalam Azad and people like Awaidullah Sindhi and Ibn Ashur problematized it, and all these kind of things. All these people, Allama Iqbal, that's because they didn't believe in the messianic vision. We believe that Islam was completed with the Prophet. The reason Qadyani said that, and I understand that many Muslims do believe that Jesus is coming, but the reason why Qadyani said that Jesus Christ is not coming, because he was meant to be Jesus Christ. That's why there was no second Jesus. Now, somebody here is saying, Tasnif Akbar is saying, and I agree with Tasnif, I actually do feel that it wasn't about him lying. I feel that he had mental health issues. I actually do believe this. I'm not saying this as a kind of cuss. I actually feel that he kind of lost the plot, like mentally, internally. And he started to see these things. This is why I don't fault him as much as I fault people who, like, I think, do you really believe in that? That this is God's great solution to mankind, to have a chat with some guy in Punjabi. Oh, and by the way, God spoke to him in other languages as well. God spoke to him in English, and do you know what God said in English? God said in English. Oh, sorry, wrong. Sorry, wrong serial kisser. Do you know when God spoke to him, what God said in English? Because he said God spoke to me in English as well. And in English, he said to me, I love you. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I'm not making this up. He actually said, God spoke to me in English and he said, I love you. I love you, yaar. I love you. That was God's English to him. It really was that God said to him in English, I love you. Yaar, what is God doing? If he's going to intervene, this is not the time to intervene by just having gupshup in Punjabi and just saying I love you in English. There's got to be some other intervention. Right, so okay. Now, by the way, he came out with some verses of the Quran himself. He said about other verses, so he said that in his book, Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281, he wrote that Surah Al-Kawthar, Inna A'taynak Al-Kawthar, was revealed to him. And the verse in Surah Inshirah about لَقَدْ وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that we have raised your praise, was revealed about him. He said that the verse of the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, we have not sent you except as a mercy for the worlds, was revealed about him. These are in his book, Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281. Then he said there were new verses of the Quran that were revealed to him, like Ahlus Suffa wa ma adraka ma Ahlus Suffa, the people of Suffa, and what do you know about the people of Suffa? You will see their eyes are flowing with tears, and peace and blessings upon you, and so on. And these were new parts of the Quran that came to him. And in another verse, God said, and we have revealed it close to Qadyan. That's a verse of the Quran. That, according to, it was a new verse of the Quran, that we have revealed it close to Qadyan. Yeah. And in another thing, he said as well that, you know, the Masjid al-Aqsa was his mosque in Qadyan. And he said on the night journey, the Prophet didn't go to, in the night, what I believe was, and many people believe was a vision, and other Muslims believe was physical, but either way, that where the Prophet went, they said he didn't go to Jerusalem, he went to Pakistan. He went, honestly, I'm not making this up. He says in his book that he went to Pakistan, to Qadian. I mean, it wasn't called Pakistan then, but it was Punjab, that the Prophet traveled to the Punjab in Qadian, and that's where he went to that mosque. And he declared his masjid to be as virtuous as Makkah. And he said that if you don't have money to do Hajj, you can come to his place, his kind of masjid. Now, later on in life, towards the end of his life, he declared himself to be Krishna.
Y la encontré porque estaba la paellera agarrada entre mis dientes.
£400. Crook! Wallahi, you're a crook. You are a crook. You are a crook. And you are a fraudster. And we will call out each and every single one of you out. Wallahi, we will call you out and we will catch you. Because part of our da'wah is not just to find the disbelievers who are out there. The enemy is disbelievers, but also to find the munafiqun of the ummah, that they're creeping around pretending to be Muslims. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. Wallahi, you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished. Don't ever come out. Any retraction you do now, switch off your social media.